Welcome to the New York Giants versus Philadelphia Eagles 2022-2023 season divisional round preview with Nicky Stees. Please do me a favor. Make sure to like and subscribe to both channels on YouTube, both the Hardcore Sports Network and Nicky Stees channel. I will drop the links in the comments to those before we get started discussing and previewing this divisional round matchup. So, here we go, the rubber match. This time it's going to count the most. We swept them during the regular season, but at the end of the day, what does that really mean come playoff time? Because come playoff time, it's a whole different ball game. When we did beat them twice the regular season. We beat them back, week 14 we beat them, and then we beat them again. Of course, the final week of the season when they had their backups. But obviously, this time around, it's where it matters most in the playoffs. Your Giants traveling to the Link to play the Philadelphia Eagles. It'll be 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be rocking there at the Link. It's going to be a big game. It's going to have that big game Philadelphia versus New York feel we have not had for a long time. It's going to be one of those type of games. From that feeling we haven't had in a long time between the Eagles and Giants. So I myself am looking forward. I also on my channel I have a poll too, which is exclusive to my channel, the one streaming on there. A poll asking the question, who will win Sunday's game? Or Saturday's game. Is it the Eagles or the New York Giants? I already got 2 votes on the poll voting for the Eagles. So those of you that voted, thank you for doing that. And here's the link to that if you guys haven't found it yet. But all right, so I'm going to leave that up for a few more seconds. And that's enough for that. Let's get into it. So the Eagles and Giants, all time, they played each other 4 times in the playoffs to date. Eagles winning 2, Giants winning 2. Giants won in January 1981 as part of that 1980 season. And then after that, you had, it was 1981 season, played 82. The Giants beat us then. They beat us again in the 2000 season. They swept us in the regular season, beat us in the playoffs. And then we beat them in 06 in Tiki Barber's last game with that infamous Brian Dawkins tackle on Ike Hilliard. Then we beat them on the road at Giants Stadium. The last Giants game played at that stadium in January 2009 as the number 6 seed when they were the number 1 seed. And this time around, it's a similar predicament with us being the number 1 seed, the Giants being number 6 seed. It's going to be a bar burner, if you will. Tough contest. Because, come playoff time, it's a different story. Teams aren't just relaxing, taking it easy, treating it like a throwaway game in the regular season. Now, it's the playoffs. These teams are coming out here to play. They're coming out here to do what they got to do. Take care of business. The Giants want that opportunity to beat us. Brian DeBall, he's going to have those guys motivated to come in and take care of business and beat those Eagles. Right? You know that. So, it's going to be a tough contest for the Eagles in that regard right there. But I have faith the Eagles are going to get it done here in this matchup right here. So, it looks like let's get into it. So, one of the big things, obviously, is this one is the injury report. So, for the Giants, see. So I'm going to pull it up right here. Let's pull up their depth chart to see what injuries they're dealing with. And I'm going to share the screen with you guys so you can go out and hey, further. Thank you for coming in. So here we go. So I'm going to share the Giants depth chart. Give me 1 second. So here we go. Let's check it out, shall we? So you got, of course, Jones, Barkley. You got Sterling Shepard on IR. Wan'Dale Robinson and Colin Johnson on IR at receiver. You got the Giants on defense. They got Nick Williams, DJ Davidson on IR. Ellerson Smith on IR. Aaron Robinson on IR. And you got your strong linebacker, Isaiah. Let me try to pronounce Aziz Ujulari is questionable for this game. But for the most part, Giants are healthy coming into this matchup, so injuries are not a big concern with them. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, most of our guys are healthy again because it looks like Lane Johnson, he's going to go in there. He's going to give it a go at right tackle. And you also have, Avonte Maddox. So he is ruled out, but James Bradbury will be in. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship are in. And you see those guys. So you got, of course, Kaiser White, T.J. Edwards, Hassan Reddick, Javon Hargrave, Flexer Cox, and those guys are healthy. On the offensive side of the line, that O-line's healthy, like I said. So injuries are not really going to be a huge factor in this matchup right here because both teams are relatively healthy. Hey, Philly halftime. Thanks for coming in, man. Shout out to Philly halftime, fellow Hardcore Sports Network member here in the building along with Further AM. And yeah, like I said, so both teams are going to be relatively healthy, so that's not going to be an excuse in this matchup. So as far as the matchup itself goes, let's get into that. So the Giants, we know they're fresh off a win against the Minnesota Vikings. They scored the upset win there, but let's not forget, too, you're talking about with the Giants and Vikings. Giants were beating a team that was suspect defensively and that had bad defense all throughout the season. You saw it catch up to the Vikings during the game. You saw it catch up to them come playoff time. All throughout the season, they were making games close against teams like the Jets. They nearly got blown out by the Colts before they rallied, but they still gave up 36 points in that game. They gave 41 to the Packers in Week 17. So remember, they had the game against the Cardinals that was a little too close for comfort for them. So the Vikings were a team that had flaws during the season that you could see, and it caught up to them in the playoffs. The Giants capitalized on it, and they had a good game. And plus, you look throughout the game, the Minnesota Vikings didn't do a good job getting pressure on Daniel Jones. They didn't get to him like the Eagles have been getting to guys all season long. So that gave Daniel Jones time to get the ball off, do his thing. The O-line was able to block for Saquon, help him run a little bit over through them. But this time around, against the Eagles, Giants ain't going to have that privilege of going against a suspect defense. They're going to have to go up against the guys like the Brandon Grahams, the Fletcher Coxes of the world. Excuse me. They're going to have to go up against the Javon Hargraves, Josh Sweats. So you see, they're not going to have that benefit right there and be able to match up against the Vikings. And when it comes to Daniel Jones, he's trying to throw the ball to those receivers. He's not throwing to a suspect Viking secondary. He's throwing the traffic with guys like James Bradbury, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay Jr. He has to throw midfield. You got guys like Kaiser White, Hassan Reddick, T.J. Edwards there too. So this is going to be a different situation for the Giants, man. Now, do I think the Giants are going to make a fight out of it? Oh, absolutely, I think they're going to. Because remember, this is a playoff game. Giants know their entire season's on the line. They would love nothing more than to get back at us by beating us at our home field when we're coming into this with all the momentum in the NFC in our favor. They would love nothing more than to knock us off and steal the NFC championship spot from us. So they're going to be motivated. So the Eagles cannot take this lightly. However, the Eagles can still going to get it done, though. I know Philly 500, fellow Eagles content creator on YouTube, he says he thinks this is going to be like an old school NFC style slugfest here between these two teams. And there's a chance it could be. It could very well be that, especially being that it's the playoff. Teams are going to come in motivated and ready. And it's funny because yesterday it was actually Tuesday. I came in late to MK headlines, and we were giving our score predictions. I said it was going to be 35-20, 42-27. But yeah, I could see us beating them by a significant score in this matchup, which I'll get to when I get to the score predictions aspect at the end. Yeah, now the Giants, so we can't take this game lightly, though, because there is a chance here. Now, for us here, though, we're coming into this matchup with the best O-line out there. You're coming into this matchup. You're talking about that O-line with Jason Kelsey, Landon Dickinson, Jordan Molina, Lane Johnson, Isaac Suomalo. You're talking about the team that's been ranked as the best O-line in the NFL by some. So you're talking about a situation here. Giants ain't playing the Vikings. They're playing the Eagles. They can block, definitely create holes for Miles Sanders. We decide to run the ball with him. Of course, being that it's the Giants, they're going to run the ball with Boston Scott. Giant killer Boston Scott's going to get his carries because he does really well against this defense. For whatever reason, anytime you insert Boston Scott in there, he does well against this defense. So I think we can definitely run the ball effectively against this team right here, and that should help us out. Philly halftime's asked me, how many sacks do I think we're going to get? Probably like 6. I could say at least 6 sacks on this team because we certainly have a better D-line than what the Giants usually face. And you saw during the regular season, we did a good job getting to hell. Even the first time we played him at MetLife Stadium, we got to him. We got some pressure on him, and we had a long afternoon for Daniel Jones. With the talent we have, we can definitely do that again here, make it a long Saturday night for the New York Giants. So I see this can work out very well for us right here. And we are 7.5-point favorites in this one right here. And some people, this spread has now at 7.5. Some people thought maybe 5-point favorites, whatnot, but it's at 7.5-point favorites here. So, hey, obviously momentum's on our side. All the experts think we're going to do it, but we still have to do one thing, and that is to get the job done against this Giants team, take care of business, and get that W. So we still have to do that right there. Now, I'm going to move along right here to the next portion of it, the keys to victory. So my main keys to victory in this one for this divisional round matchup against the Giants. Let's start with number 1. Main key to victory is play disciplined, limit the mistakes, limit the penalty, such as penalties, turnovers, whatnot, what have you. And make sure that momentum stays in our favor. Because you limit the turnovers, you limit the penalties, it can really do us wonders, especially if it ends up being one of those close games. It'll really help us out late in the game. So we definitely must do that here, right there, because if the Giants do end up making a better game of it than expected, you don't want to be in a situation where you look back next week and say, man, those 2 fumbles right there cost us this game. Or, man, we have several fumbles right there. We had the key penalty, few key blocks in the back early on. You don't want to find yourselves in that position next week. So play clean, so we got to play respectfully. No sloppy, unorganized football. So that's the first key right there. Number 2 key is get pressure up front from your D-line. You've been seeing it all season. When that D-line gets pressure and wreaks havoc on opposing teams, it works out well for us. It works out splendidly. It did that for us against the Giants, against the Steelers. We did that against pretty much any opposition we face right there. And it will definitely work out. We did it to Carson Wentz in week 3. And, hey, we get some pressure on him. Daniel Jones forced to make plays when he's not ready to. he's not comfortable making those plays, I don't think he's going to be able to make those plays. Right? If you give him time to pass, like he did last week against the Vikings, he can do well. But if we do the opposite of that, we bring that D line, bring the house, he's not going to be able to do much with it at all. He is not going to be able to do anything with it at all. So that's one other key right there is just be able to blitz, force Daniel Jones to make some mistakes, or you get some sacks on for, force him to just throw the ball up, get some incompletions, maybe get an interception or two out of it, maybe get a fumble from it. I think that'll work out and help. You bring the heat, maybe he gets the ball off on a pitch to Saquon, but once he gets, that only limits the amount of yards they can get on it. Like if it's a 3rd and long, we bring the heat. Daniel Jones desperately looking to get rid of the ball. He quickly pitches it to Saquon beyond the line of scrimmage. What's he going to get? Maybe on 3rd and long, maybe 5-6 yards out of it, but he's not going to get the first down in that situation. So that's one way blitz come in and be full. Another way, he tries to play action. By the time he goes to fake the handoff, he turns around for the pass. Boom, we get to him. We get a sack right there. That's another way it can work out right there. He's dropped back the pass. He feels the heat. He rolls out. Maybe he slides for just a few yards, but how well is that really going to work throughout the whole game? Him sliding all the time. He's only going to be able to do so much with that. Or if you get him, if you just bring the heat as soon, as soon as he's getting ready to drop back, he's going to be forced to take the sack, or he's going to try throw it. Maybe, another situation. We bring the heat, he rolls to his right, but you have somebody like Brandon Graham or some follow him there, or Hassan Reddick follow him. He's going to be forced to get rid of the ball quickly. Might not work out as well. So there's different ways that can work out right there. Another key right there, we've got to be able to stop the run. Right there, obviously, we've done a good job of that right there. We got some run stoppers right here on this team. They know how to stop Saquon. They did it during the regular season, and I believe we can stop them again. If we can just do what we did effectively during the regular season, we have a good shot at stopping the run right there. Because I don't think this offensive line is going to be able to match up as well against our D-lines the way they did against the Vikings. So we get a better shot at not only being able to blitz, but also being able to stop the run. And that ties into key 3 to victory right there. So the key to victory is control time of possession right there. Simple enough right there. But main key to victory is we got to be able to pass the ball effectively. Like, we got the weapons to do it. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Jalen Hurts knows how to make those plays. Knows how to roll the pocket, get away from the blitz, and get the ball off to those guys where they can make plays. If he can just do what he's been doing effectively all season against this Giants team, then you know what? It should be, we should have no issue with that. We should be able to move the ball downfield, make some big plays, get on the scoreboard. Of course, I kind of alluded to it, but my last key, I'm just going to be quick with this one, is to run the ball. Is to run the ball, this one right here. So if we can mainly do that right there, play disciplined ball, get some pressure on Daniel Jones, stop the run, be able to pass efficiently, control time of possession, and run the ball. We can do just some combination, maybe 4 of those things. We should get the win in right here. If we can at least do more than 50% of that, we definitely got a W in this one. Now, my score prediction, I said earlier in response to Philly halftime's comment that I see us winning this game 35-20. I see the Giants putting up a fight. Brian DeBall's going to have those guys motivated to go out there and play, and it's going to make it a little bit of a competitive game, but ultimately we're the better all-around team, and that's what's going to make the difference in this one right here. So that's the score I see right there. So I also wanted to briefly give my thoughts on some of the other games going on too before I go off, but hold up a second. I'll be right back. I got to do something real quick, and then I'll give my preview of some of the other games going on before I go off the air. So hang on for a minute. Okay, so I'm back. And like I said, not only am I going to give an overview of the Eagles-Giants game, which I did, kind of breeze through that. And so far, I got 3 votes on the poll on my channel, all 3 saying the Eagles are going to win this matchup. So shout out to you guys for coming in and voting. Now I'm going to give an overview of some of the other divisional round games right here. So we got the Eagles-Giants game. But first on Saturday, before that, we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's a good game. I think it's pretty obvious. Kansas City's the better all-around team. I mean, it was a nice run there for the Kansas City Chiefs. Excuse me, I almost said the Eagles. But yeah, it was a nice run for the Chiefs, right? For the Jaguars right there, going through the regular season, rallying late to win the division, pulling off the comeback win against the Chargers. But I do think this is the game where they meet their match over at Arrowhead against the better team in Kansas City. So I feel like Kansas City, feel like they're the better all-around team right here. They got the better weapons on offense. They got the better QB with Patrick Mahomes. And I feel like that's going to be the difference maker in this game. It's just like one of those things for the Jaguars. Hey, it was a fun run while it lasted. It was fun to see them come back and rally. Because that's, especially being an Eagles fan, I'm always going to have that little bit of a soft spot for Doug Peterson. Well, I'll never, ever have a second favorite team. You always have a soft spot for former players and coaches from your organization that did you some good things. Like, I bet there were probably some Eagles fans that had a bit of a soft spot for Reggie White, went to the Packers, and there were probably, so for guys like that. So sometimes that happens. There may have been some Eagles fans that were happy for Seth Joyner when he won a Super Bowl at the end of his career with the Broncos. So it's a little bit like that in current times for us with Doug Peterson. There is that little bit of a soft spot there, but ultimately, I do feel like, hey, Kansas City's the better overall team, plain and simple. They'll win this game. I think we'll become about late Saturday, Sunday saying, hey, credit to the Jaguars on a nice run, but Kansas City had your number. So that's my take right there on that one. Can probably expect at least Kansas City to at least put up 30 points. Possibly, I'm thinking this one could be a 38-27 matchup. I mean, the Chiefs, they're not the greatest defense in the world, so Jacksonville might be able to score some points, but they'll be outmatched in this one. So I got the Chiefs winning this game to move on to their 5th straight AFC Championship game. Now we get to Sunday. You got the Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, which I'll start with that one. This is a bit of a tough one because on paper, the 49ers are the better team. This should be the game where the Cowboys meet their match. But here's the thing. With the 49ers, with Brock Purdy, you have a rookie third-string quarterback. I feel like it's one of those things, even if you have good talent around you, you have a good team there, which they do in San Francisco. I feel like having Brock Purdy as their QB is going to be their downfall, inevitably. And this might be the game where it happens because make no mistake about it, the Cowboys are a talented team. The biggest thing is Mike McCarthy's not exactly what you would call a great head coach. And Dak Prescott, despite the talent around him, he struggled through the season in certain situations. So there's a part of me that's thinking I do feel like that's going to catch up to the Cowboys at some point. Prescott is their QB. Like, I think if the Cowboys do get past this and play in the NFC Championship game, whether that be against us or the Giants, that's going to eventually catch up to them. Then again, with how talented this 49ers team and knowing how Dak has played in some key situations, that D over there might give Dak some problems. He might fold under pressure too. So there's a possibility of that too. So this is a tough matchup right here. But it's just like, tough matchup to tell right here who could win this game. But I don't know, that Cowboys D, man. How's Brock Purdy going to do there? So it's a toss-up, but I'm thinking the Cowboys, they finally get past the second round and make it to the NFC Championship game. Even though I don't want it to happen because I don't want to hear their annoying fans prematurely brag about the Cowboys being in the NFC Championship game. I just get a feeling the Cowboys are going to itch them out on this one. It might be game like a 27-21 type game because they're not playing the 49ers, they're not playing the Seahawks, they're playing a better all-around team, and vice versa for the Cowboys, they're playing a better all-around team than they played Monday against the Bucs. I'm going to go with a toss-up and say the Cowboys are going to win this one because Dak, even though he's not the best QB, he's certainly better than Brock Purdy, and he can have his good moments, but I just think the pressure is going to finally get to Brock Purdy, and this is where he finally gets exposed. So I think it'll be Eagles and Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. So for the other game, Bengals and Bills, at least this time around, we're going to get to see a proper Bills and Bengals matchup playoffs. Even with it being played at a neutral site indoors, I just feel like the Bills, even throughout the season when they've been winning games, they have their flaws, and Josh Allen's certainly been showing his flaws with his play, and I feel like this is the game where it catches up to them. I feel like against the Cincinnati Bengals team, who got hot as the season went going along, I feel like this is where finally Josh Allen, some of his flawed play, like his play against the Vikings, and then the play last week, for example, against the Dolphins, it's going to catch up to him, and I think the Bengals are going to win this game out right here, especially with some of the momentum they've had going their way. But then again, on the flip side, I mean, the Bills have a strong defensive line. The Bengals, not exactly the best O-line, so that could be a matchup in favor of the Bills. This could be a tough one. I think it's all going to really come down to how the QBs play in the clutch, how Burrow handles this clutch situation, and how Josh Allen handles the clutch situation. I think over the past couple of years, I think Burrow has handled some situations better than Josh Allen. So I'm thinking maybe the Bengals etch this one out, like 30-27, possibly last-second field goal or possible field goal in overtime. But I'm going to go with the Bengals to win this one 30-27. So I'm predicting that for the two conference championship games, the NFC championship game, Eagles, Cowboys at the Link, an AFC championship game, Chiefs and Bengals, rematch from last year. So that's my predictions right here for the wild card round. So that's my overview for the Eagles, Giants, and my predictions for the divisional round, not the wild card round, excuse me. So to everyone that came in, thank you for coming in. I hope you enjoyed this stream. And thanks to everyone that voted, to the 3 people that voted on my polls on who's going to win on Saturday. Appreciate your support. Everyone, if you're still in here, if you're catching this live or if you're watching this after it's been recorded, if you haven't done so yet, please do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. So Nicky Stees signing off. Have a wonderful night. If you're looking for more football-related content, you can catch some short videos I'm dropping on my channel. Until next time, Nicky Stees signing off.